Ripple's latest purchase of GTreasury could send XRP well past $20. What do I mean? I will show you. They've processed $34 billion a day. You mix that with Hidden Road, ladies and gentlemen, we got something cooking. Also, Ripple is able to compete now against JP Morgan. They're missing a few other pieces. What is next for Ripple's acquisitions? I also have a ton of information and updates around GTreasury. We're going to get into all of that in this video, guys. It's going to be jam-packed. Let me just tee this up for you so you know what exactly it is we're talking about here. Ripple yesterday announced that they acquired a new company called GTreasury. They're entering a $120 trillion corporate treasury market. To give you some additional context here, GTreasury marks a major expansion into global corporate treasury market, a multi-trillion-dollar ecosystem that manages cash, liquidity, and risk across the corporate world. GTreasury provides treasury management software used by CFOs and finance teams in over 160 different countries, integrating cash forecasting, risk management, debt investments, hedge accounting, and compliance across hundreds of banks, right? This is really what they're going to be focused on. They also pick up 1,000 corporate clients, some of which are from Fortune 500 firms. That is a major deal. Of course, Ripple is going to provide all of their technology into GTreasury to take it into the next evolution of what that should be. I also wanted to show you there is some competition here that Ripple will be competing about in this corporate treasury market. Here are the main companies doing that, but let's just jump right into this. There is more connections now into Swift through GTreasury. This is a vital piece of infrastructure that is used for global movement of money. JP Morgan also has GTreasury payment integration into JP Morgan. So now you have Ripple directly interconnected with JP Morgan. You also have BNY Mellon GTreasury Liquidity Direct. This is another connection, integration into the biggest custodian in the entire world. Now, Ripple and BNY Mellon are working together on a bunch of different areas here. This is one of the big ones. Liquidity Direct's integration with GTreasury's management workstation gives you access to capabilities of Liquidity Direct without leaving the GTreasury management environment. This integration allows you to achieve greater visibility in GTreasury to your cash balances and more efficient utilization of your assets. How this works: trade is placed through GTreasury using an investment template. BNY receives your trade instructions via template and invests in the investments for the amount you specified in the template. Once GTreasury receives your trade confirmations, your portfolio is updated and initiates settlement instructions to BNY for the investments or the redemption. So if you're selling something, the redemption's getting that money back. GTreasury setup deals in system coordinating to each active fund, set up trading and payment templates. Clients can set up payments module to make multiple or single trades. This is really connecting the legacy systems into this new infrastructure. Even Crypto Erie said this is a big deal. Treasury management, cash forecasting, liquidity management, risk management, compliance, and payments, plus a ton of Fortune 500 clients, including Hitachi, Prudential, and American Airlines. Just to show you here, some of the biggest banking partners here are JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. There's also FIDES, Netco, Bank of Montreal, and a few other smaller players, but this is a very big deal. I also wanted to get into some additional information about what this means for XRP. So you already had Ripple's purchase of Hidden Road earlier this year for $1.25 billion. They do about $3 trillion. It's about $3.5 trillion a year in settlement, which is about $10 billion a day. We'll call it 8 to 10 billion. Now that they picked up GTreasury is, there you go, $34 billion a day. So if Hidden Road and GTreasury, if you combine these two values, let's just say 10 and 34, we're talking about $44 billion a day in settlement. Now, this settlement needs to happen on the XRP ledger, whether it's through RLUSD or XRP directly. If that is the case, we are talking about a minimum of $20 per XRP, because if you are doing an annual volume of 11 to 15 trillion, which GTreasury's annual volume is $12.5 trillion, you are talking about a $20 per XRP at least. Now, if we can get up to 70 to 85 billion, we've been talking about a $50 XRP. And if we get over $150 billion a day, now we're talking about a 3-digit XRP. This is leaving out all the ETF jazz and the low circulating supply or available supply on exchanges. We start to throw in some of those dynamics, and this could get into, $300, $400, $500 pretty quickly. I think you can see how serious this is. Just to show you some other business that Ripple has here, Trangelo, 500 million to 1 billion a day. This would obviously need to grow 10, 20 times to really matter here for the price. And of course, Medico, Fortress, and Standard Custody, we don't have a lot of information on that, so I can't really tell you what all of that means, but I do know this could really start to supercharge the price. I also wanted to show you, because there is a lot of talk about the DTCC and the settlement and clearing of the stock market, and what could that mean if XRP is used. I just want to show you some examples here of how this could really supercharge the price of XRP. The DTCC currently processes and settles between 7 trillion and 11 trillion per day, right? If we could even get 1%, 5% of that, we could be talking about some serious capital here. Just to show you this here, just going through all of this, even if 1% of DTCC's daily settlement, $70 to $110 billion move through the XRP ledger alone, you'd be looking at about $20, right? So if we can get 1, 2, 3% of the DTCC settlement, as well as what Ripple's already doing, we are talking about hundreds of dollars per XRP, just to show you like what happens if Ripple actually settles all of this value. You could be talking about pretty ridiculous price for XRP. This is if, $11 trillion a day, Ripple moved all of it and needed to settle $11 trillion a day, you'd be looking at $11,000, $20,000 per XRP, right? This is not considering supply. This is just looking flat across the 100 billion supply of tokens. I also wanted to show you kind of what is next. We know that Ripple has now custody, regulated trust entity, tokenization infrastructure, stablecoin payments, prime brokerage, and now they have trust and risk management. What is missing here? I thought this was really interesting. I wanted to know this personally. So of course, the first main thing that they're missing here is a banking license. We know that we're waiting on the national banking license here. We should have that available soon. Usually it takes at least 120 days. Realistically, it should take anywhere from 9 to 12 months, but you can fast track these types of things. So Ripple is looking for their approval. The second thing that they would need to do is get some type of a securities exchange or alternative trading system. Ripple Stack lacks a regulated trading venue for tokenized assets. Buying or launching an ATS or DEX with regulatory approval would let them host trading of tokenized bonds, equities, and repos integrated into the XRP ledger. So I do believe this is the next big step that Ripple is going to be looking to make in the next purchase that they're going to acquire. Also, they could need some type of payment processor, a merchant network. A Stripe or WorldPay system acquisition could complete the loop of real-world commerce settlement using Ripple, RLUSD, and XRP, extending on-ramps beyond institutional finance and retail and small to medium business rails. Credit, lending, and asset division with prime brokerage now secured via Hidden Road. Ripple's next move into credit markets could be into the credit markets, acquiring a digital lending firm or asset manager to manage tokenized treasuries, institutional yields, or repo funding backed by digital assets. Compliance or identity infrastructure. To secure global enterprise adoption and the acquisition of identity infrastructure, KYC, AML, automation, decentralized ID could help unify compliance across Ripple suites. And so I wanted to know, what are the companies that are available that Ripple could buy? Because that, of course, is the next question in my mind, right? I'm sure you probably are thinking the same thing. Let's just go right into it. So here are the top candidates for an ATS, an alternative trading system. One of the companies is called T0, long-standing SEC registration, specializing in tokenized securities, strong real-world assets. Ripple could pick these guys up maybe 400 to 600 million. There could be a premium that Ripple could pay. So this could be maybe 800 or $1 billion, but well within Ripple's, their last two purchases, 1.25 billion and 1 billion. This could easily be something that Ripple could acquire. Texture Capital, SEC registered ATS broker dealer focused on regulatory compliant of tokenized securities. This is only 75 to 100 million, so a much smaller operation. I think Ripple would probably want somebody with more customers and more infrastructure. And there's INX Digital Company, an SEC registered tokenized securities platform, 120 to 180 million. The strategic fit here could integrate one of these into the XRP ledger for on-chain issuance and compliant secondary trading of tokenized securities, loans, and repos instruments. Let's take a look at the payment processing and merchant network here. The top candidates would be Adion in the Netherlands. Big shout out to my editor, Cas. Global leader in unified API-based merchant payments, advanced developers integration for FX and cross-border commerce. You have estimated here $40 to $45 billion market cap. So this is probably not something Ripple could purchase at this time. I mean, this would deplete, 1/3 of their total value that they have it locked up in XRP. And I don't even think they could do or raise the capital to buy this. Stripe, 65 billion, probably something they couldn't do at this time. And then there's another company, there's a smaller company called USIO, Usio, embedded payments processor, software as a service, fintech for B2B business platforms. This is 300 to 400 million. This is definitely something that Ripple could probably afford at this time. Now, credit, lending, and asset management division, you have Maple Finance, is 150 to 250 million. You have Goldfinch Finance, 80 to 120 million. And then, of course, they can partner with Franklin Templeton to do something like this as well. I don't think they could buy Franklin Templeton, probably not in a million years. Man, I shouldn't say that, right? Eventually Ripple could become big enough where they could make some kind of crazy purchase like that, but it would require a lot. It would require a lot. Top candidates, Jumio, Palo Alto, industry leader in AI, identity proving AML monitoring. So these was about 1.5 to 2 billion. This would be a huge purchase for Ripple. Intrust on Fido merger. This is 2 to 2.5 billion. Civic Technologies, 80 to 120 million. And then there's a few other companies here, 50 to 100 million. So these are the pieces that Ripple would need to buy in order to compete with a JP Morgan. Yeah, so, I was just trying to look here, what is missing for Ripple to be able to compete with JP Morgan. Here's a complete I just wanted to have something to understand what Ripple would need. Those are all the pieces Ripple would need to be able to compete, right? So you're looking at banking license, alternative trading system, payment processor, credit and lending, and compliance identity. Ripple picks up these 5 items and they can compete against JP Morgan. Vincent Van Code says, I am pretty sure no one in crypto Twitter even understands what is happening here. Short explainer, GTreasury provides software that enables mainly large multinational corporations to handle payments, liquidity, and cash flow. The software links into banks and payment systems such as SWIFT and ISO 20022 compliant. So this acquisition, along with Hidden Road and Standard Custody and Trust, allows Ripple to introduce digital assets into the $100 trillion treasury market. Ripple doesn't need to sell XRP to the big corporates. They just are now a part of the plumbing. The software as a service and UI doesn't change. It just means Ripple's progressively rolls out faster, more efficient rails. That's the game. Chad Steingraber also posted here all of these different connections, the motherlode, GTreasury, SWIFT, compatibility profile. This is a big deal here that we are seeing. And then, of course, Ripple now getting into the DAT space here. Ripple Labs is leading an effort to raise at least $1 billion to accumulate XRP in the digital token linked to the company. Their DAT is digital asset treasury. We've seen this like with Bitmine and MicroStrategy with Bitcoin, Ethereum. Ripple is now going to put in another $1 billion to buy fresh XRP, not all out of escrow, but some of it off the open market, already putting stress. I did a complete video on this. So if you're hearing this video, go look for that video. I go into this in detail and give you all of my thoughts and all of my feelings. But what do you guys think about this? Is Ripple going to pick up these missing pieces to compete? Do you think XRP is heading to $20 because of this? Does my explanation make sense to you? If you guys got any value, you can like the video. You can share the video with a friend. You can leave a comment down below. I really appreciate you. Have a fantastic day. Bye. Nothing in this video should be taken as financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. Please seek financial advice if you need it. Let's get back to the video.